Hi everyone, welcoming you to the admissions webinar. I request everyone who's on the chat to check their audio and the video and just let me know in the chat if it's working correctly. As you know, I'm conducting this from my house, so I just want to see if everything is in place. So just let me know if all the technicals is good, if you can hear the audio and the video. As always, let's give it a couple of minutes to build. Um, let's let the user base build on the webinar, and let's I'd encourage everyone on the webinar to use the live chat feature on the right hand side of the screen. You can directly ask questions and get instant response basically. So I'll keep focusing on the questions and we can keep it as interactive as possible. But once again, for people who are joining new, I'm just asking you to check if audio and video are working properly. I hope it's working properly. If there's any issues, just let me know in the live chat feature. All right. So as always, just routine check. Big announcement, of course, is that the deadline is today for round 3 applications. Um, but so I encourage everyone to complete their applications as fast as possible. For all of you who have not started your Vedica applications, again, the process to go through it is you go to the vedicascholars.com, which is a website. Then you go to the register button, which is on the top right hand side. Once you click that, you'll be redirected and complete your registration details. You'll get an email which will be, giving you a password and an ID, which will redirect you back towards the Vedica application portal. And over there, you have to complete your application and complete all parts of it. And there's for example, you have to complete the personal information section, you have to complete family section. Apologies for any bird sounds over here. But yeah, you have to complete the a couple of different sections. In the end, you have to upload your CV and your photograph, and once it says at the bar on top, it'll say application complete. Then you can expect the application to be screened by the admissions team. After it's screened by the admissions team, if you qualify, you'll be contacted for the interview. And once the interview takes place, depending on if it's 1 or 2 rounds, I guess most interviews these days will be video interviews. So video interviews will be happening, and post that it will be determined if you get are selected or waitlisted or rejected from the program. So that's the entire cycle. I'd encourage everyone who's say 50 or 60% of the way there to kind of give it say 1.5 more hours and get the application done and completed. Okay, so Ayushi is just saying that she's already, I think, started her application. Ayushi, where have you tried calling? You just let us know which number that is unreachable. In case that's the number is unreachable, we'd request you to write us an email at info@vedicascholars.com. There is, a few, some couple of people have been just talking to us about when you register, it takes some time to get the email back, with your VS ID and your password. So you just give it, people have said it takes about 1 to 2 hours sometimes also. So just give it some time. If the email say is not within your inbox within 2 hours, then just write us an email back, saying that I've registered, but I've not got the login credentials, and we'll share them with you, or we'll get the IT developer, the IT team online, and they can solve your queries. Right. So I encourage everyone, as I've said before, just to ask any questions that you might have on the chat feature on the right, and just encouraging everyone to keep this webinar as interactive as possible. I know it's focused around admissions, and I will be going through processes and procedures. When it comes to registration, if you want information on financial aid, or say if you want to know, any tips about the Vedica interview, or maybe perhaps what's the classroom culture like. So all of these things we can discuss. So I'd encourage whatever intrigues you about Vedica, to put it in the chat feature, chat on the right basically, and we can go ahead and talk about that. I mean, so kind of okay. I think we have a question. Um, My sister and I offered admission in Vedica, and we both want to join. All right, Renuka, I think yours is a personal case, and I think you have sent across an email. And just you should know that the admissions team either will have responded or will be responding by the end of the day, and be sorting out all that you require. So just that's as I said before, for hostel and stuff, if you have like a as you have a specific case of you and your sister both being admitted to Vedica, which is the first actually. So we can look at that at a case by case basis. But again, you've received your email, and we'd want to kind of then go ahead and reply back on an official communication side. All right. So Ashi has asked, see, yesterday I gave my interview regarding the same. Can you please let me know the further procedure? So I'm assuming you're talking about the Vedica interview that you completed. So once the interview is completed, and I hope the interview went well, what you'll have to do is wait until the admissions team gets back to you. They'll get back to you with either three decisions. They are either an acceptance, where you're accepted in the program. It's a wait list where you put on a wait list in which either we'll be giving you more assignments or perhaps having another interview, and the last is a rejection where you're not admitted to the program. So yes, so for example, if you're admitted to the program, then you'll be getting an offer letter, and once the offer letter, you'll be getting it in your a digital form, and perhaps maybe a physical form in the future, but as of now, digital form. And what you need to do is print it out, sign it, scan it back, and then go ahead and send it back to us along with making your payments, your initial security deposit payments. All of this process, once you follow, then you'll have a seat at Vedica. So that's the process for, say, you get accepted, and that's the process there. Okay, going ahead, Swami has asked, I'm done with my video interview part, or after that, I'm looking for a scholarship if I get selected, what to do if I need for that. So, Swami, as I just said, that these are the steps. If you get accepted, you have to go through sending your offer letter, signed offer letter, and paying your initial security deposit. Then you get you secure your seat at Vedica. Post that, the scholarship process is open to you. So we'll be sending you an email with a requirement of documents that we require from your end for scholarship, which is an SOP, which is your ITRs. So that's something that we think that you can, I think, do it at that point of time, and as well as we divide the scholarships amongst three buckets, which are need-based scholarship, which is for financial support, merit-based scholarships for excellent students and meritorious extracurricular achievements, and then finally for diversity. I mean, if there's someone very unique and we want to bring them on board, we definitely invest in that. So yeah, once you've secured your seat with the offer letter having been sent and your initial deposit being paid, then the scholarship process opens up. Okay. Ayushi is saying, sir, I'm still waiting for an interview. Yeah, so Ayushi, it takes some time. The admissions team, I suggest some patience, and the admissions team will get back to you in a due process. It will, since all the interviews are now being shifted to video interviews, I think it should be, I think the interviews will roll out a bit quicker. So, since everyone's at home, I hope you're at home. And so your people have freed up a lot of time, so we'll be conducting a lot of video interviews. So just hold out on that. Perhaps next week or is a time where you can get interviewed. Right. Renuka is Renuka, as I've said, I just mentioned a couple of while ago. We will be getting back to you either by tonight or say early next week. Ayushi is asking, sir, can people in second year of their undergraduation apply? So the answer to that is no. We need the basic requirement you need to enter a postgraduate program like Vedica is that you have to have an undergraduate degree. So that means that people in that final year can apply, which means that by August, when the program begins, they will have their degree already when they begin. So that's the basic criteria that is required. So we see a lot of students again who are just come out fresh from college, all the way to students who have, say, 10 years of work ex, 4 years of work ex. It's a complete mixed bag, right? So Right. So Harshdeep is asking, how can I prepare for the interview? Right, Harshdeep. So I would suggest, being familiar with everything in your form that you've mentioned, all your extracurriculars, your say if you have work experience, your academics, etc. Just be thorough with everything. We look for like an honest and honest representation, and plus the ambition. So we do speak about who. Think about hard about what the issue is about women in the workplace, about who your women role models are. Also, be very, very aware about what's happening around the world, so whether that's current affairs, whether that's business news, how the whole climate is changing. Because I think being equipped with that kind of knowledge will really help you out in the interview. But yeah, as I've said, for the Vedica's interview, it's quite unique. So we're judging your potential, not your performance. So that's something that you need to keep in mind when preparing for this interview. Um, Renuka is asking about a fee concession for her. So Renuka, I would advise you to ask this formally in a mail. I mean, this is again an informal webinar, and me saying anything over here would obviously not lead to any action. So if you have any requests, please do put them in an official communication and send them to info@vedikascholars.com. We can get back to you there. Um, right. So Sonakshi has also said, I've applied today. Can you give me some tips for the interview? All right, Sonakshi. So as I've said just before, just be aware with the current affairs, be aware with the business news, both in India, both internationally. Be aware of what's happening politically. Talk about your ambitions. Talk about your history, what you've studied. We need to, there should be some linearity in your background. So we'd like to see that kind of that kind of multidisciplinary approach to different, so that ambition that comes forward is definitely, we can kind of judge it from your background and what you want to do later on. So that's something that's there, that the program is very rigorous. It's management practice, it's liberal arts, it's communications, it's personal growth. So it's a lot of coursework that you're going through. And so yeah, we take students who are equipped, who can handle the rigor. So that's something that's also assessed in the interview. So keep that in mind. Um, right. So Apurva is asking, what is the shortlisting criteria for the interview? If interviewed, then what parameters should be ticked to selected candidate? So Apurva, if interviewed, what parameters would be for the selected candidate? I guess the question ties into what I've just been speaking about. There's no such specific parameters. I mean, just think about it. It's a conversation that judges your potential and not your performance. But it is an interview for a very competitive and highly rigorous postgraduate program in management practice. So at the end of the day, you are learning very hardcore things like corporate finance and strategy. And at the same time, you're doing, courses like personal growth, in which you're doing understanding the self, or you're doing, projects and research papers in economics. So there's a vast array of things that is on offer in the Vedika academic curriculum. So we need students who can, who are equipped to kind of handle that rigor. And of course, at the end of the day, we need the best students to, because the companies are coming back to Vedika and in bigger number, hiring in bigger number. So we need our students to be very, very diligent and responsible when it comes to putting in the work. Um, Right. So going ahead, Soumya is, how much will the security deposit be? I think it's 55,000 rupees plus GST. It will be in the offer letter. If I'm not sure on that figure, just in and around that much. But you definitely you should know that definitely you should know that you can kind of pay that, and it's a refundable fee. So what you can do is you can pay that, secure your seat at Vedika, and yeah, I don't think the GST gets returned. So that's something that you should keep in mind. Is there any concession for student having a single parent? So, Sonakshi, I would again, as I've said before in the webinar, recommend you to send a formal request on our email channel. We again look at all of this by case basis. Or concessions that I think you and Renuka both spoke about before are need-based scholarships that exist. And I think let me just elaborate on that because we've been getting a bit of questions. What need-based scholarships are is that we judge candidates' financial background. So how we do that is we take your ITRs. Your ITR is your income tax returns from your family. So we judge and we have a scholarship team that has different brackets that students are allotted to for the need-based scholarships. And accordingly, students are given different percentages of scholarships. There's a student in our current batch, Komal. So she's someone who's a fantastic student and needed that financial aid to, kind of come to Vedica, accelerate a career and study. So that's something that, and we completely believe Komal's story, and we feel that that's something that that financial aid really will assist her later on. So again, need-based aid we evaluate. There's a scholarship committee that evaluates your financial background for your ITRs, and then concessions are accordingly given. So I would encourage you, as I've said before, so go ahead, complete your applications, go through the interview process. If you get accepted, go ahead and by the deadline that you're allotted. I think the admissions team gets back to you with the deadline. By the deadline that you're allotted, make sure that you have sent in your offer letter, signed your acceptance letter basically, and you've also sent in your initial payment. That will basically make you secure your seat at Vedica. Given that the round is closing today, we're seeing a rise in our applications, we're seeing a rise in our numbers. We really encourage everyone, say who's interested, who's watching right now, or your friends to apply ASAP. So that's something that's definitely there. Going ahead, yeah. If you have any more questions, Ayushi, both Ayushi. So if you have any more questions, then please do ask. Pragati is asking, India is facing an economic slowdown now, so how will it impact the campus recruitment at this time? So, Pragati, definitely, as you know, everyone is aware, because of the global health pandemic, we are definitely facing a slowdown when it comes to businesses. But I was thinking about this. So it takes the time. I mean, since the stock markets are pretty much wiped clean, like it takes time for all these businesses to regrow. It's not like tomorrow they can go back to how they were operating 2 3 months ago. So I think that kind of concession of time at least takes, say, a couple of months to definitely 1 to 2 years. And I think it's the best time to invest in your upskilling of your skills and to upgrade your capabilities, and that results in basically investing in your education. And so if you can kind of have a security about knowing that you'll be a Vedica scholar, and within 18 months that if you're even if you get the average salary, which is 10.25 lakhs, so if you go ahead and get if you assure us that 18 months and then assure yourself the fact that you're going to invest it in upskilling, that will actually lead to much more dividends. Because when these businesses bounce back in, say, a year and a half to 2 years, then you'll be ready, you'll be there with the skills, just to be, kind of going ahead and getting hired in, kind of the leading roles and the leading brands. So that's something that, at least that's my opinion, and I'd, ask you to consider the same. Ayushi is asking basically how many seats are available in the program. So Ayushi, it's a statistic that's not released, and we don't kind of cap. There's no cap on the number of students that we want to intake. We do keep a cap on one thing, which is our student to teacher ratio. So that's something that's extremely low, and we do have teaching assistants that break it down into further focus groups. What we are seeing this time is a big surgence of popularity and of applications at Vedica. So definitely, there's something that is to be said about an increasing batch size, but something more important to be said is that we are actually, it's the process has now become much more competitive, and the applicants who are applying have fantastic work experience. They're coming in from, very established companies and great colleges. So something that's, that's something that we look for is that the batch size also grows, but the quality of students, quality of faculty, and most importantly, the experience stays on board and stays on track. So that's something I hope that clarifies your question. Okay, so Ashi is asking, just give me a sec. So Ashi is asking, can you put some light on the program does Vedica offers a PGDM or MBA? So, Ashi, I hope you've gone through our website, completely. Vedica is a postgraduate management practice and leadership program, and it's not an MBA. So that's something that you'll be getting at the end of the 18 months. However, there is an opportunity with to get a global MBA degree, which is a global, Masters of Business Administration degree in Leicester Castle Business School in De Montfort University in the UK. So after you complete your 18 months, you have an option of spending 6 months at DMU, and not just actually the MBA, but that's one of the more popular courses that our students take after 18 months. But all their masters, you can go to DMU's website and see it's like masters in financial analytics, business analytics, international business. So, different options for our students to pursue. So, post this 18-month experience, you can take 6 months and you can go to LCBS and get pretty much a degree from university, a 2-year degree from a university abroad. Because the 18 months that you spend at Vedica, all the academic credits are recognized and transferred to LCBS. So that's how it happens. And another great thing, I don't think this happens anywhere else, is that say you complete the 18 months and then take a job for 1 year or 2 years, you can then come back as an alumni. Say you quit your job in 2 years and come back and do that 6 month LCBS period. So you get that international exposure. You get that all that stuff that is available to you as an alumni as well, which is very kind of unique to see in especially in the education space, where a lot of universities have like hordes of students, so many students, and students really feel like a number there. I mean, it's not really there's no connect that's formed, and I feel that's an essential part of the educational experience. That no matter where that be from, right from like KG to postgraduate programs. Um, Right. So Ashish asked another question. Please confirm if the fees of 10.6 lakhs includes the hostel accommodation or not. Yes, it does include the hostel accommodation. So the 10.6 lakhs is all inclusive. That is the tuition fee plus the accommodation in the hostel plus all the all the transport that you'll be having. There's 1 or 2 trips that you take in your experience at Vedica to different parts of India. So all of that is covered within the 10.6 figure that is quoted there. All right. So Renuka is also asking, is there any requirement for us to send a proof seat confirmation payment receipt, like with a letter of acceptance? So Renuka, it depends on how you're paying. I'd say if I would encourage you to say use NEFT. If you can use NEFT, I think automatically there's a notification, an email or a SMS that's sent to the person who's the mobile that is linked. So that will be enough in terms of a proof of payment. However, if you're sending it through check, then yeah, I mean, you can send it to our office and perhaps take a snapshot and send it on an email saying that you sent it out and you couriered it on this particular day. So we'll get to know about that. Right. So Ashi is asking anything about the placements, average placements package. So Ashi, this year, I mean, the batch that just graduated was the fourth batch, and we saw our average salaries increase first of all. So we went to about 10.2 lakhs average salary, as well as we saw 2 scholars getting the highest salary, which was 21 lakhs at Western Digital in Bangalore. So you see that there was first of all, I'll answer this question in 2 ways. For freshers who are watching this, freshers means students who don't have work experience, who come straight from college or have done say an internship or a year somewhere. What happens is that we've seen salaries increase by say 100% from where freshers used to originally work. For example, we have someone who had worked at TCS before, earning about 4.5 lakhs. And now they've graduated Vedica and they're earning about, I think, 12, 13 lakhs. So again, a greater than 100% increase for people who, around the 1 or 2 year work range. For freshers, what we see is that, Sakshi was someone who was one of those students who got 21 lakhs. So She, as a fresher without having prior work ex, was I think a former student, and then she got that 21 lakh job. So that's something that's there to see that, as either a fresher or work ex, all of you are considered equally as Vedika scholars. So that's something that's assessed, that's something that's judged amongst all the companies that come. It's a very equal kind of platform for people to give interviews. It's a very collaborative atmosphere that I've seen. Another thing is that the kind of roles and the companies that come, I want to point some light over here. So we had companies like Google, companies like Uber, of course KPMG, Deloitte. More so that I want to point out that in a traditional MBA program, you kind of have access to this, but because Vedika is kind of covers management, practice, leadership, it's a very holistic program. You can also join companies like Invest India or Tata Trusts, and again at very managerial level roles in which you're doing work in finance, or you're doing work in HR, or you're doing work in strategy or operations. So it's all across the board. Even startups that are coming, there's a lot of buzz around campus always during placement season, and that's something that is in our promise to give each and every student who walks into the Vedica classroom 100% guarantee that they will be getting a job when they leave. Yeah. Um, so when the campus starts for the 2021 batch, and yeah, these two questions are the same question. So when will the session begin? The session will begin in August for the sixth batch, which is the class of 2020-21. Uh, the class that all of you will be applying for, that will begin in August. There are no changes as of now. I mean, unless there is some particular government directive that education institutes, will have to postpone their opening. We will be going ahead with our August opening as regular, and we have a fantastic digital infrastructure as well. So all our students currently are doing online classes, online assignments, and the classes are running as per usual pretty much. We're using Zoom calls. We need to do focus groups between TAs, instructors, faculties. So there's from groups of say 4 or 5 to even bigger groups of say 20, 25. There are classes that are happening interspersed throughout the day, and we're kind of going ahead with the learning and the curriculum and making sure that that doesn't stop. A little more on like what we've been doing for the classes this year is that we have finally compiled a series of reading lists, compiled some say movies, around different themes, different topics for them to kind of go through, have assignments around that, submissions around that. So just to kind of keep students engaged with reading. That's something that I'd encourage, especially for the interview. Whoever asked, if you about Vedika, how to prepare for the Vedika interview, just read the newspaper, read a lot of books. So that's something that is always considered a great quality. Is something that's someone who's reading the paper every day. That's someone who's we definitely like, who has that kind of capacity to have that acumen, to have that knowledge, business wise, international politics wise, whatever. Um, right. So Pragati, the specific date for when Vedika will open is will be released later on. I'd say in the month of June end. So you can expect more communication on that. But it will open in August. So last year it opened August 7th. You can take an approximate date uh, around that much only. Right. So Sonakshi is asking, I skipped something during the online procedure. Can I cover it during the interview? Yeah, of course. So if you skip something during the online procedure and wanted to add it, first of all, I'd recommend you just email whatever question that was and a small description of that to us. What we'll do is we'll make sure that email is attached to the application form when your interviewer is sitting down and interviewing you. So if you have anything that you feel that you missed out, say a question couldn't be answered because of some technical glitch, just to attach it in an email, put it to us, send it to us, and we'll make sure it's in the application form when the the interviewer is there. So you can kind of go ahead and send that. All right, so Renuka is asking payment through NEFT. How will Vedika come to know which applicant's payment it is? We'll send a mail that, yeah, okay, sure. Renuka, I mean, go ahead and make the payment through NEFT. I'm sure that there'll be different transaction IDs. All these formalities can easily be sorted through mail. So we'd encourage you to kind of go ahead and just, email us, and you can tag the transaction IDs accordingly. Right. So yeah, everyone here, thanks for the questions. I'd encourage you to ask more. We do have some more time. I do want to talk about the shadow program a bit. That's not been spoken about till now. Just to want to tell everyone that Vedika has a unique shadow woman leader program that happens in the months of, say, in the 13th month of the program out of the 18 months. So, shadow, what it is our version of what an ideal internship should be. So what happens is students are paired one-on-one with senior women leaders from across industries, from say media to consulting to marketing to all different types of roles and all different types of industries. And leaders would be like CEOs, CHROs, only at that level. So you're spending say a month and a half in the boardroom before you actually get placed. So it's fantastic, actually one of the best learning experiences that and environments that you can be in, because what you see is that there's a lot of internships that go around in different B schools, and say for a period of 4 months or even 8 months, 4 weeks or even 8 weeks, what you see is that it takes you 1 to 2 weeks to adjust into the organizational culture, and even what you're working in is very limited. There's not much of a role or responsibility, and there's not. The more important thing is there's not much feedback once the internship is over. So that's something that we've fixed in the and completely curated a fantastic experience in the Shadow Woman Leader module, in which not only are you participating in the strategy meetings that this senior woman leader is doing, say, in Bombay or in Bangalore or in Delhi, but you're also towards the end of the experience getting feedback from the shadow mentor about how your performance was for this month and a half. And what we've seen is that the students who do so well, who really impress their mentors, have been offered jobs. So they get directly hired from because of their performance there, and then go ahead. They just finish with the process there. They're recruited there, and then so yeah, that's a huge achievement, at least for us. And our PPOs have also been growing. We call them PPOs, pre-placement offers. So we've had about 6 or 7 for the class of for the fourth batch, or 10% of the class. Right. So someone's asking, when can we expect the results of the scholarships? So I hope that you've gone through all the processes. You've given in your initial security deposit. Given in your acceptance letter. Then the scholarship email has gone to you. You've responded to all of that with the SOP and the other expected documents. If that has all gone through, then I think we'll be announcing scholarships earlier I think in April, because again, as given the situation that's there right now, we're all a bit reassessing. People are just shifting everything digitally, so we're reassessing a bit, and then we'll get in touch within I think by April with our scholarship students. Yeah, so you can expect communication by then. Any new initiative or highlight taken this year at Vedica which you would like to mention? That's a good question. Thank you. I would actually say that there's something that's been organized by one of our members of our program team. She is a teaching assistant and it also runs the Vedica Writing and Communication Center. Priyanka is her name, and she also lives in the hostel with the students. That's the background, and she has started the feminist reading club, and it's a fantastic kind of group that of students that come say come together post classes. It's sort of like a book club, and they spend the week reading the book. I think this is how it works. I'm not too sure, but it's fantastic because everyone has been giving their own suggestions to curate the reading list, and people are reading one book a week and then meeting and discussing. And it's a great thing to see. It's a very important initiative, and it's a fantastic experience. I think that's one of my highlights that I saw in 2019 in the Vedica, at least the Vedica experience. Um, yeah, I think another thing I would say would be GPWL. I don't know if you're familiar, but we had the global program for women's leadership, where we jointly partnered with the ORF, Observer Research Foundation, and DFID, which is the UK's Department for International Development. And what happened was that we had leaders from SAARC countries coming in, women leaders from SAARC countries coming in, and these were like leaders from embassies, and they were again for a period of a week, one on one. They were paired with each student, and the student basically had to go through exercises. There were some guest speakers. There were some fantastic authors that were there, and it was a fantastic experience for students to kind of have this one-on-one time with someone like an embassy leader, and then you or both are interacting in an exercise with say someone like Barthada. So you see that kind of close proximity and that deep belief and drive towards fostering a culture of women's leadership. So that's something that was there, and I observed within that week. So yeah, that's these two things I would definitely like to mention. If I mean, I'd like to thank you for your questions. If there are any more, I'd say we can wind up in say about the next 5 7 minutes. Um, yeah, I hope everyone on this webinar has applied or is in the process of completing their application. As I've said, the deadline is today, so do get your application in. It's completely an online process, so there's nothing physical that's required. I'm just mentioning the process once again. Register, take your registration details in the email, put it into the application form, complete your application form. Once that's completed and at 100%, then the admissions team will get back to you with the decision. Um, Please spread the word. It's a nervous time, it's a uncertain time, but I feel, as I've said before in the webinar, that it will take say 6 months or a year or a year and a half at least for businesses to start bouncing back, given the fact that what the circumstances have become. So I would really recommend that, given the education, given that kind of you basically, I recommend everyone to invest in the education uh, and upskill yourself and keep yourself ready for when, say, hiring season peaks, and you need to be at your best professionally. Um, Hi, Karan, can you please give me some more information on the Saturday night seminars? Uh, right. So we we have our webinars on YouTube, which happen on Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Saturday night seminars perhaps are guest sessions. I'm not too familiar with this, but perhaps a guest sessions or student-led initiatives on Saturday particularly. But yeah, I would just write in a mail. I'll forward it to the academics team and to the person who handles student life. They would be the best person to ask about this. So yeah, Chandni, if you want to send in a mail, I'll redirect it to someone from student life, and they can get back to you with an answer. Right. So, what are the class timing in the institute? So, Pragati, we will usually go from say 9:30 to about 5:30 to 6. So there are classes. Of course, there's a lunch break and some breaks in between, but we have classes pretty much throughout. So we have a very big emphasis on having that kind of class format in which you're spending time in the classroom, but it's focused on both theoretical and practical experiences within the classroom. So yeah, um, how can I apply for scholarship? Nidhi, I've spoken about this before. What you have to do is complete your application. Go through the interview process, get accepted at Vedica, and then pay your initial security deposit and you send your signed in offer letter. And once these three steps are complete, then we'll open up a scholarship process for you. We'll send you the email, and that email will have the documents that we require for the scholarship process, which is again your SOP and ITRs and some other things, any other certificates you perhaps want to attach for extra credit or extra, something that kind of shines light on your achievements. So once that's done that, then you have to reply to this email, give the particular documents. The scholarship committee will then take a decision and get back to you with that. So I hope everyone is clear on that. Let me just walk you through one last time. Website, register, you fill in your details, you get an email, you get the email back, you get your VS ID and your password. You go to the Vedica application, fill in those details, they'll redirect you to the application form. Complete your application form to 100%. You get, you get contacted by the admissions team. Say you have been accepted, so you've been screened. So that goes to the interview round. So then your interview will be scheduled. That's a video interview. The video interview, I've told you some tips on how to prepare for it. Then you have, say you get accepted in the video interview. Then we'll be sending you a digital offer letter, and you have to sign that and send that back to us before or by the deadline that you're given, along with your initial security deposit to secure your seat at Vedica. That will secure your seat. Once that's done, then we'll be sending you a follow-up email which will ask you for these documents for scholarship. And we will see if you will be slotted in diversity, need-based, or meritorious scholarships. So again, we'll be sending specific documents. We'll be in process with that, but this is the entire process to follow. So I hope that kind of gives kind of top to bottom clarity on how the process is going. This is assuming you've been accepted. This is assuming your application is screened. This is assuming that you've all the processes have gone yes, 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 yes. But yeah, I hope that it gives you a good idea about the application process. Again, just reiterating that to prepare for the interview, make sure you're reading the papers, make sure you're aware, make sure you're completely, aware of what you've written, and you can talk about, say, your extracurricular activities or a project at the drop of a hat. Make sure that you know about the women's only aspect of the program, and because it is an only women's program, so you should be there should be a valid reason for you to study there or want to have an educational experience like that. So all of these three things are judged, and again, that's something that I feel is in your control. Of course, the conversation can then lead somewhere and lead wherever it can. So yeah, I hope that kind of answers your questions. I'm glad that some of you joined and kept the webinar very interactive. If again you have any other questions, please write to us at info@vedicascholars.com. And again, if you, I would say, if you're not able to reach a certain phone number, or if it's something's out of service, etc., etc. I mean, the teams are at home. Perhaps people might not have the best connectivity, but the info@vedicascholars.com IT is consistently watched. So if you want to get the fastest response, I would really encourage you for any, say, admission related query to write to us at info@vedicascholars.com. Let me just put it in the chat also. You can just copy it down. Yeah. So this is the email ID to reach us at. And once you're done, you can definitely drop in any query that you'd like. Yeah, thank you so much. Please do follow us on our social channels, our Instagram, Vedica, Facebook, the LinkedIn, and for all official updates. I think you'll get to know more about everything and how we're taking things through from there. So just be tuned in there. And one more thing, do spread the word about Vedica. I think people will really, really reassess their futures given that given the circumstances we're in, and perhaps this might be a great opportunity for someone who didn't know about it. So we'd encourage you to spread the word and let other people know about the Vedica mission. Thank you.